What up, YouTube? Today I'm gonna be talking about how I found my biological father on Facebook.
Praise be to the Most High.
I have a couple brothers and sisters. We don't share the same fathers. I used to daydream about meeting my father and looking for him when I was, ever since I could remember. So I would go up to my mom when I was young and ask my mom to tell me stories about him. I had a picture of him. We look pretty similar. My mom always described him as a religious individual, caring, so I didn't understand why they separated. There was a bunch of confusion in the story, and I wanted to clear that up. It seemed like no one was telling me the truth. So as I started to get older, that feeling never went away. I'm becoming the ages of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Every now and then revisiting that area and revisiting that fantasy. When I got to be around the age of 13, I started looking up information on the internet. So there was not much to find on him. The way that my mom described it was he was in some trouble with the government and was always trying to be under the radar. So that explains why it was tough for me to find him. He played with his name a little bit because I'd find the same names under different names, but I had the gist of what his name was. With the information that my mom shared, kind of had the idea of what I was looking for. At the age of 16 is when I really busted a move. I found more information on him and I started doing more homework. So I found some numbers. I got to calling people I'd get hung up on. I felt like a salesman. I was looking for this guy and I just couldn't find this man anywhere. As my life progressed, I got closer and closer to some addresses that I found. My cousin found out that I was looking for him, and she offered to fly me out there. She is a very special person in my heart, even though we don't have a great connection. But it was always a dream of mine. And so 16 came around, my cousin flew me out. Now, mind you, I had never been anywhere else but where I grew up. So when I got there, I settled in. Every morning, I'd wake up, go play basketball on the court to try to meet new people. I was doing that for about a week. And then the second week, people knew me. And so I would go to the basketball court and afterwards make plans. And that's what I was doing kind of behind the scheme of trying to find my dad. She was busy, so she couldn't really just jump to it. We had to plan those days. I gathered all the addresses I had obtained from the internet, wrote them all down. She didn't go with me and knock. I did all the knocking by myself. And I knocked on all those doors. I think there was about 8 in total. They would open their doors, and of course, all of them told me no, that person didn't live there. Very nice people, very kind, because I was expecting to be shut out like a missionary or looked at very oddly, and it was a weird thing to do for me. I really had no fear. I have no problem with rejection. What I had a problem with was not trying at all. I had to find this guy. I didn't end up finding him during that trip, but I found a little of myself. I got out of my comfort zone. I got to know myself a little bit more. And I came back a little different. My twin brother noticed that. I saw another world. I've seen another side of me. And it should have been a letdown, but it wasn't. It was just more fuel to my fire. I put it off for a little bit. And I usually always pick it up once a year. Every year I do some more research. It was more like when it popped up in my head, I would just go to the internet, find what I find, then leave it alone and think about it. When I look back, that was a big moment for me because out of all the searching I did, that was the closest I felt as far as finding him. And even though I didn't find him, I still feel like I was closer because after I was able to travel and see that the world wasn't such a big place, it really put things into perspective. Because when I was growing up, the internet wasn't that big. So it was nice to see the internet slowly progress into a way that it started to come a time where there was abundant resources for me. It made it more of an actuality than a fantasy as I started to get older. I already kind of knew that not everyone believed in what I was doing, maybe not even supported it, but that was okay with me because I did have support. So I joined the military around the age of 20. And the idea for me was that maybe I can find someone in the military who could track this guy down. So I wasn't really betting on that. So after some time, he began to pop in my head again. I was working at U-Haul at the time. It was my job to clean them out, get them ready for the next person to use it. And I was sitting there before I parked it. This Mexican guy needed to pump propane. I just put the car in park and then I went to go help him with propane. And he asked me what my ethnicity was. And I told him that I was Mexican and El Salvadorian. but that I don't speak Spanish because my mom wasn't teaching me Spanish and I didn't know my dad. And that was kind of a joke. That's not the best joke. Arguably doesn't even sound like a joke at all. But I was being a little sarcastic about it. Thinking nothing of it, he actually began to cry and said that he was some type of pastor of a church and that he had the ability to shout his name out on his radio station and try to help me look for him. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a better joke than mine, really. And that moved me a little bit. I mean, I wasn't crying or nothing, but I thought to myself, maybe he had the same problem growing up or something. So I agreed to get his number. We had a little conversation. He went on about his way. And I went right back to the truck. And since it popped up, I do what I do and I just started looking for him. And this time I decided, you know what? I've tried my hand on Facebook a few times, but maybe I was putting his name in wrong. So I started to play with the name like a puzzle. I started just putting in his name in different ways. Just a bunch of old Mexican guys popped up and I'm like, great, any of these guys could be my dad. Hello?
Right now with
Okay. No problem. So I saw this one picture in particular, and he really looked like the pictures my mom used to show me while I was growing up, but just an older version, like I did the math, okay? Add that picture plus 20 years. That looks about right. I stumbled upon it right as my boss asked me he needed help. So I saw the picture, I looked at it and thought what I had thought, and then I locked my phone and went right back to work. And then maybe 2 hours later, I brought up my phone because I was gonna read my text and I saw that picture again and I remembered, oh yeah, I was doing that search. I looked at the name that he had, and it was just a bit different. So I called my mom. I told her the name and asked her if she knew anything about this name. And she said that that was the family name. Basically, I guess you could say like the maiden name of his family. I sent the picture and she confirmed it, that that was him. I just couldn't believe that. Out of all the years and everything, I found him right there on Facebook. And I was super excited, man. I mean, I could not work. I was having trouble trying to explain to my boss what was going on. He was like, Moses, what's going on with you? And I was just like, boss, give me a second. I just need a moment to take in the information that I had just received. And he didn't understand, but I just walked away. Like I basically damn near clocked out right in the middle of a rush. This was a big moment for me. This is the moment I've been searching for since I could remember. So I went and I started doing my thinking and I thought, how can I reach him? What if he doesn't, get online and read the messages if I send it to him? I started just going off into paralysis analysis. I wanted to send him a message, but I wasn't sure how often he gets on Facebook. But I wanted him to get that message quick. So I went on his friends list and I added everyone who had my last name and I messaged all of them. And I forget what I wrote, but I gave them a brief description. They thought that I was on some type of Seinfeld show looking for this man and trying to get him for money and claim child support or claim that he owed me money. So the aunts and uncles brushed me off, but I met this cousin in particular that just loved my story and she loved what I was saying. And she's like, yeah, I'll help you reach him. I'll give you his number. And I chatted with her for a little bit, and then I added her sister, and then she was telling some of her family members, and they started adding me. Once I got that number, I had birds in my stomach. It wasn't even butterflies. And I got the number, put in my contacts, and I just went back to work. I explained to my boss kind of the situation, trying not to be so excited about it, trying not to overwhelm myself and him. And he was excited for me. He was happy for me. He's very understanding. I'm still friends with that boss till this day, but that's besides the point. I went home, I had the number right in front of me, and I kept thinking, when's a good time to call him? I had the number there, and for some reason, was stuck. Paralyzed. I couldn't bring myself to call him. like I thought I would. I thought I would call him immediately. I just couldn't do it. I didn't know what I was gonna say. Like, this is the number I've been looking for. This is the person I've been looking for a decade. How am I even gonna introduce myself? I didn't wanna come off as anything but I wanna get to know you. And who are you? I was stuck trying to analyze what kind of person he would be, how he would respond to this. I couldn't do it. For a while, I would stare at that number. I called a good friend of mine and I told her about the situation because she's known me for a while. She made me feel better about the situation. She reminded me that it was something that I really wanted, even though I knew that. So I got off the phone with her, and I think it was like 10 at night. And I was like, I'm gonna call this guy. And as the phone was ringing, I was filled with so much anxiety. And he picked up. And I said, "Hi, my name is Moses." It was way more simpler than my mind was painting it out to be. And we just start talking. I don't think that in the beginning he was sure of what to say to me. I think that maybe he was looking for me to ask him for an apology, and I wasn't. And we had those type of conversations. I feel for a multiple amount of reasons. This was another change in my life that was very important because it really showed me what I was capable of. It really showed me how far my determination would go. And it gave me that certain sense of something that I fantasized about when I was a kid, a baby boy, really manifesting in my life. It was very powerful in a sense. I don't quite think that he would really grasp what I went through to find me. But that's okay with me. What matters is that I did find him. But also what matters to me is that I showed what I was made of. There was some moments where I thought this guy isn't even alive. That's why I can't find him. Maybe I'm gonna find him in the obituaries. I wasn't sure what I was dealing with. But I just kept trying. And I'm glad I did. Because I use that same mindset now for a multiple amount of reasons. To me, it was like the impossible became possible in this moment. The world just became that much of more of a smaller place. In comparison to when I was young, I just thought, I'm never gonna find this needle in a haystack. The world isn't as small as you think, and things aren't as impossible as it seems. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Maybe there are some young people out there feeling the same type of way or in the same situation where they want to find their parents. And I just want to let you guys know, don't give up. If you really want to find them, you do your homework, give it energy. It's more than just about manifesting it. I took action on those moments where he came to mind. I went to those addresses and knocked on those doors, ready to be rejected. I think that at the end of the day, it was less about him and it was more about me. I wanted to know if I was capable of at least trying. Whether I succeeded or not wasn't the point for me. That's how I wanted my story to play out. I wanted to be able to say in my story that I tried. So the fact that I found him, it was just a plus. And that's an understatement. If you guys have any questions, leave it down there in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.